And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game called The King's Dilemma. This is from Horrible Games, whose games are anything but horrible. They're good games, but this is a legacy-style game in which there is a kingdom set in a medieval sort of fantasy realm, mostly medieval, in which at the beginning of the game, the king is like ruling the people. That is the King's Dilemma, or something like that. And you are a house, a force behind the scenes, trying to manipulate the kingdom to meet your own ends. And there's going to be multiple games that go throughout this whole long thing. I have not yet finished the King's Dilemma, but I played 9 games of it, which is enough to have seen a ton of stuff in here and give a good talk about what's in it. When I finish it, and I plan to, I'll try to do a quick recap video of the whole thing later on, but this should be enough for you to understand how the game plays. There's going to be the tiniest bit spoilers. I don't think it will spoil you at all. I'm going to show you a few random bits and pieces of the game, but I'm going to also show you how the game itself works, and then you can just jump in and play it. Here's how it plays. At the beginning of the game, or the campaign, each player is going to take one of the many different houses. Each house has their own, emblem that they have. You can name the house whatever you want. You're going to keep track of prestige and crave points. You have a house number here, which is just mostly to break ties. Down here are different kinds of agendas, and here are achievements that you're trying to accomplish over the course of the game. Now, the game, each player is a house that's going to be trying to affect the course of a kingdom. And this board is going to keep track of the status of a kingdom over any particular game. Players are going to be keeping track of the stability of the kingdom here. And then there are 5 other tracks here. You're going to put these tokens on them. They're going to be kind of randomly flipped there to be slightly negative or slightly positive. And you have track of the military strength of the kingdom, the wealth, the morale, the food, and the science of the kingdom. And as the game goes by, various things might make, let's say you need to pay money to get food. So money might go down 2. If money goes down 2, I move this down 2 and flip it over to the other side. But food goes up by 2, so I move this up 2 and flip it to the other side to show that it's starting to get positive. This stability moves anytime a token's move, so it would have moved down 2 and then up 2. So let's say food goes up again by 1. So it goes up by 1, this moves up 1, and then we add this marker here to show that food is definitely moving up. In fact, since food was on the white one, it would have gone up 2. So I move it 2 and move this up 2, and now if it happens again, it's going to go up an extra 2. So if it's on the color of the side that it's going, it will go an extra space, and if it has this marker here to show that it's trending in that direction, it will go 2 extra spaces, although all it does is take for it to go down a little bit, and it will flip back to the other side. And so when the stability here, if it ever reaches one of the 2 ends, then that's one of the triggers for the end of the game. At the beginning of every game, you're going to take these 6 agenda cards, shuffle them, and remove 1 from the game. Then give the 5 to whoever has the lowest prestige. That person's going to pick one of them, then pass it to the next person, and so on, until everyone has one of these. These are going to give you points at the end of the game based on where these tokens are. So the opportunist wants as many of the tokens to be in the low area. You can see here if all 5 tokens are in the low area, they'll get 15 points. Greedy wants there to be a couple tokens at the extreme. See, 2 gives 11 points, but not all of them, and not a few of them. Rebel wants them to be in the extremes. The extremist wants 2 to be as far apart as possible, and opulent wants them all to be at the top, while moderate wants them all to be in the middle. Also, players have money that they'll be collecting over the course of the game or trading with each other, and whoever has the most money at the end will get extra points. And then finally, other points may be given out through various means or fashions, and it's possible as the game goes by that people have open agendas based on different things that happen, where in this case, I'll lose points if food's the lowest because I made decisions in the past that caused people to be upset with me, and if they see the food's low again, they're going to blame me, or the opposite, if food's the highest, I can get positive points. So the game is going to take place with a bunch of agendas. I'm going to show you just an agenda. This is one from somewhere in the game where the Chamberlain reports that after visiting the royal palace, the son of the ambassador from the Republic of Calpius has contracted a dire fever. The ambassador is now asking for our help to find a cure. Our scholar suggests that we consult Hysidora's medical treatise, but the cult suggests that we resort to traditional rites to cure the boy. Do we rely on Hysidora's studies to help the ambassador's son? And then it shows it says here, if we vote yes on this, science will probably go up. If we vote no on this, morale will probably go up. And so we look at the board, and there can be a debate back and forth on what we should do. Now in this game, players are going to be voting with power tokens. Everyone's going to start the game with 8 at the beginning, but that can change. And everyone starts with 3 cards in front of their shields: nay, aye, and pass. Now, as it goes around the table, each person is going to be voting on the nay or the aye, putting a certain amount of power on top of it. And whichever side has the most power is going to win. You can also pass. If you pass, you get an extra coin. And at the end of the round, everyone who passes will split the power that's here. The winning side, so let's say nay wins, and there was like a total of 7 power, that's put in here for the next round. Alternatively, when you pass, you can take the moderator token for whoever has it. You don't get any power here, but the moderator will be able to break ties if there are ties, and you can bribe them with money. You can't trade power, but you can trade money around to get things. Whoever bids the highest amount on the winning side, nay or aye, is going to take this. They have control, and they're going to take the card, they're going to flip it over and read the side according to whatever happens. And so don't worry about what happens as much here, but you can see this side makes science go up by 3. This makes military go down by 1, but morale to go up by 2. Sometimes when you go through these, they will cause you to open another envelope. So the game comes with piles of envelopes. These are all the ones that I haven't opened yet. It might say open envelope 46. I'll take envelope 46, open it. Usually when you open an envelope, it will give you a card. Sometimes that card is signed by the person who was currently in power. You'll flip that card over, read some stuff on it, and then there's usually a bunch of other cards that will then get shuffled into the possible agendas. This is a card that covers the top of the agendas. Here's a bunch of agendas that may or may not come out depending on what happens. Sometimes opening an envelope will give you a special ability or a new rule to the game. And sometimes by opening one envelope, you're not going to open another one. So not every envelope will be opened over the course of the game. Other envelopes will cause the person who is in control to take one of these stickers. You'll write your name on a sticker, and then that sticker will be placed on the board. Now, I don't want to spoil what's on all those stickers, but those stickers will have effects on the starting state of the kingdom, as well as giving people these different agendas as the game goes by. Now, when the certain number of cards, agendas have been played, or when the kingdom collapses or becomes too opulent that the king's overthrown, at that point the game's going to end. People are going to reveal their agendas, score the points for them, and possibly score points for other things. You'll check off a check on each of these for each agenda you've done. When you check off an agenda a certain amount of times, you'll get a reward of prestige and crave points. And then you might check these off if you've accomplished these on the sides, which could give you special powers. Some of them, like this, foster social equality in the kingdom. What does that even mean? Well, a card will come out that will tell you very specifically when that happens. And then you can go on to the next game. Okay, so there's a lot of components in the game. There's a lot of money / different components. I wish that it wasn't all in this tan format, but that is what it is. I mean, I wish they had done different colors for powers. I do like the different houses that they did. I like how they have, nothing is as it appears. And, you're going to write all over everything, but I just kind of like the different things. This one here is hit hard, we can take it. And this one here, this is mine. Ignorance is bliss. That's mine as I'm playing through this. So I like that. The art on the cards is really well done. The stories are well written. In the box insert here has a spot to put everything, and it even has this here. So as you complete things, as you finish it, you can put them in that slot where they'll fit in the bottom of the box. I guess so if you want to go back and look at something later. all the envelopes fit in here, although you can see now that we've used almost half the envelopes here, it is getting smaller and stuff, but everything fits in. The stickers here, they stick on pretty well. Our game was missing one sticker, but that's just, I think, as a fluke. But there is a lot of stickers, and we've been using a lot of them, but a lot of them aren't going to get used also. So I was pretty happy with the components. The rule book is actually a fairly hefty rule book, but not so much because the game is a difficult game to learn. It's really not. It's just that they have, here you keep track of all your games. You can see we've been keeping track of the scores for our games. Here, there's mystery stickers that we put in. There's a lot of the world of King's Dilemma. And then it just clearly explains how to play the game. So I think the components for the game are pretty good. Also, I should mention there's a map in the game of the kingdom and stuff. And I really want to say that I wonder sometimes when there's a game like this, Horrible Games is an Italian company, and will the translation work? Sometimes these translations don't do. They did a great job. And I think the story in this game is really strong. It starts out fairly mundane-ish. Like the very first situation we found ourselves in, some windmills burned down. Do we spend the royal treasury to rebuild these windmills? Or do we not? If we do, we spend money, but the food goes up and so on. But things get hairy pretty quickly. And in fact, they spend some time in the rule book talking about the fact that you're going to run across some things that might, it's right here in the front here, a disclaimer. This world's in a fictional and somewhat cruel fantasy world. It's going to put you in morally challenging situations. How are you going to deal with those? So you're going to run across things in this world that are, they're going to be real. For example, you might run into slavery. You might run into really murder, witchcraft, things like that, right? So you run into these various situations. And sometimes you're put in a position of you find something very morally debatable, like, I don't think we should be doing that, and yet your agenda might make you argue the other point. So it's kind of an interesting mix because you're arguing for things and I get behind my things and I'll say, okay, listen, this isn't really that bad and we get money because we did it. And so there's a little bit of that going around. If you take these things really seriously, maybe you should stay away from this. But I didn't find it to be that big of a deal. But it definitely is an adult thing, not because there's nudity and swearing and stuff, but they're adult things to talk about. These are pretty, they can be, they're dilemmas, for lack of a better word. And you're going to run into those, and that's part of the fun of the game to me, is to see how these work, and then to see the results. To see, we chose to do this, so this happens now. We came across a group of people, and I'm trying to be as ambiguous here, we came across a group of people, and we wanted what they had, so we attacked them, then pretty much wiped them out and took what they had. And we felt like we were in the right. They didn't seem like they were the best of people, but was that the right decision? Dilemma. And all this, then there's a game behind it. So let's talk about a few things. First of all, I think the game is interesting. I like moving those things around the track and accomplishing your stuff, and then voting on it. The voting is interesting. Once you vote yes, you can't change to no, but you can stop voting. You could add more votes to that. You can also abstain because there's that getting to power. That's a nice little mini game, and that's when I say mini game because the discussion and the story seems like the focus of the game. I don't know that the game is strong enough on its own, but I think the story brings it up way to make me love it. And the story, like I said, I think is very well written and very interesting. So if you're here for our game, this may not necessarily be your thing. This feels like a Tales of Arabian Nights, find this interesting story, but it is going to be, the story takes precedence over the game. That game back and forth, the voting, I like it, but I love the story. And I played with many different people. So far I played 9 games, like that, as I said. I played all those games, and Jason, my friend Jason, has played all 9 of those games. The other people have switched in and out for a few games here and there, so when they come on, the new people will say, okay, this is what's happened so far. We did this, 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 and this. And you might see things that refer to whatever this is, and that's why. Okay, that's fine. We usually catch them up. Some of them really like the game because they like the story. Others, I played with some people who really like Euro games and things like that. They were like, it's okay. The story's good, but the game's okay. That's kind of the reaction we're getting. I think the game's fine, and I love the story, so I'm happy. Now, it's a legacy game. You are writing on it. You are going to, destroy stuff in it. You're putting stickers on the board. We are 9 games in. I feel like we might be halfway. Not quite sure. The book has enough spots, I think, for another 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. They have another 15 possible games. So 24 games possibly, looks like. But I really feel like we're at the halfway point. Maybe we're beyond the halfway point. I don't know. What's going to bug some people is that there have definitely been decisions that if you make this decision, open this envelope. If you make this decision, open this envelope. Which means there's going to be content in the game that you never see. Unless, of course, you're like me. When I'm finished, I'm going to open up all the other stuff and read it. And you might say, here's a person, kill him or keep him alive. You keep him alive, this happens. And then if that happens, that branches out. I don't know how many branches there are. I don't even know if some branches might circle around and come back and open up an envelope that we didn't open up immediately. I don't know. I won't know how much stuff is left until we're finished with the whole game. That intrigues me, right? It intrigues me to see what's going to happen with this, to see where we're going. And I feel pretty happy with this game so far. You say, well, I don't like legacy game, you can't play it forever and ever. Well, first of all, people who say that don't play games forever and ever anyway. Very rarely. They play a game 3 or 4 times. I've already played this 9 times. I can't wait to play it again. Me and Jason are really Jones, and every time we get together now, it's like, how are we going to play this? Each game takes about 45 minutes, so keep that in mind. There's that. And sometimes they could be a little shorter, and sometimes they're a little bit longer. Depends on how everything plays out. They're getting a little bit longer as we go by because some new game mechanisms have been added that change things up and how that works. But we're really intrigued to see what happens next as we go farther into this. I'm really jazzed about this. This, for me, gets a very high rating. I really like it. I really can't wait to see where the story goes. I'm in it because of the story. There are some legacy games where the game mechanisms are really strong, some where the story's really strong, some where both are good. This one is definitely a good game and a great story. And that really works for me. I don't mind that there's some content that I won't get to see because it looks like we're going to get to see a lot of it. And it's really interesting to see how the decisions we make, and it is something to talk about. I think it can lead to some good discussions. I said it's an adult game, but I think you could play this with teenagers and say, because we did this, this happened. And now this is something we have to deal with in the future. And that's kind of interesting. I like the concept of it a lot, and I'm very eager to see the end. So I recommend The King's Dilemma. Dice Tower Judgment, excellent.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.